the show started.
Welcome
Are we
to Bloody
doing it,
Good
or-
Horror.
No, I need to figure out what's going on with this. All of a sudden, it's playing as loud as it should be when last week it wasn't.
It's just hearing everything like out of sync. I thought smoke was just gonna start rising and their sparks were gonna start flying from different places.
What he won't tell us is the reason that's working now is because he dropped his
The podcast,
Oh,
the
God.
medic's on the fritz.
Do you want a word? Am I supposed to?
I haven't even introduced the mark yet.
Fuck, dude, I know we're late, but calm down.
All
We'll
right,
have
I'll
to
do
speak
it.
through it.
You
Web
know,
beaver.
this is why I usually test the audio off air before you guys are on.
Double time.
No, this is gold. Are we live? Are people watching this?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hilarious. That's so funny.
There are viewers, Joe. There are viewers.
Not anymore.
I hate
Put your
you
pants
guys.
back on. Never mind.
It was weird. Last week it was too low, so I just cranked everything up, and then this week it suddenly decided to actually listen to what the dial said and just blew everyone out.
Silly old computer.
I can't
What
figure
does
out.
the dial say? Hutty, hutty, hutty ho, hutty, hutty, hutty ho.
All right, what are we talking about off the start?
Could you mute him remotely, or
What? Give me a topic here.
I honestly,
Can
I
we
don't.
spend 10 minutes trying to figure out what it says on this chainsaw? All I can read is dick. I don't know what the second part is.
Yeah, I think it's Dick Bagel.
So do we want to talk upcoming? We can talk upcoming.
Hey,
My wife.
If we're gonna do Medea's Halloween, we could do Girl on the Train.
All right. So here's the issue that we're gonna have,
we-
and let's talk about it before we announce the
No.
rundown. Medea Halloween comes out the same week as Ouija Origin of Evil.
Oh, we should
So-
probably do that.
I think
first.
we should argue about it on the show.
All right.
If I'm being
But immediately after
truthful.
Ouija is Rings. So it's not even like we're going to be able to see Medea the next week. It'll have to be 2 weeks later.
See,
Yeah.
we should argue that out in front of the fans
Yeah,
and let
I
them
wanna
weigh
talk-
in on which one they want to see.
I
Here,
wanna
I don't
I
know
wanna-
about that.
I wanna talk about
I
it.
feel like those two were probably more important than Medea.
I would
Medea
like-
might be good for like a spooktacular down the line.
I would like to talk about it on the show.
All right. Just start the show already. Jesus Christ.
I was saying boo dia.
All right, everybody mute, please, and stand by.
High five, Mark.
Casey, you are not muted.
Welcome to Bloody Good Horror, covering the best and worst of the horror genre since Halloween 2007. Listener discretion is advised.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another exciting episode of Bloody Good Horror. My name's Eric, and I'll be your host for this evening, where we will be discussing Rob Zombie's 31, the latest Rob Zombie film from Rob Zombie. I'm the editor-in-chief over at bloodygoodhorror.com. Joining me tonight, first up, he's on Bluetooth headphones. Watch out, world. His name is Joe.
I'm so out of breath from running.
He also drinks beer and stuff.
Ew.
He's drinking beer right now. Next up on the show, he builds bloodygoodhorror.com. And tonight, showed a little bit of chest hair, which I like. His name is Mark.
Yeah, boy.
Yeah,
Took me 30 years to grow a handful of them, so I'm trying to show them up.
your boy Mark. On the,
Is
ones
that
and,
a button-down V-neck?
on the ones and twos. Yeah, that is a
Oh.
button-down V-neck.
Oh dear
It's not a
Lord, you
V,
are
it's a crew neck. See?
Now that gives you varying levels of V depending on your mood.
you are so
Right.
married.
You are so married. Next up on the show, he's the business manager at bloodygoodhorror.com. Coming to you tonight from Manhattan, New York City. His name is John Schnars.
Hello, Eric.
Riveting. Last up on the show tonight, coming to you from Indiana, he's co-host of the Instamatic, published author of horror fiction. His name is Casey.
Hello.
How's it going, Casey?
It's going well, Eric.
It's,
How are you?
It's a special time of year. No, not Halloween. It's the time for Rob Zombie. It's
He
the
has a
time-
time now?
It's the time for cursing, and
Not washing our hair.
Hitler
I would
clowns.
say inelegant cursing.
Dust off your C words, friends.
This is the
Break out the
time
RV.
of Rob Zombie, and the moments last forever.
Sometimes the movies last forever, but
Yeah. So yeah, we're reviewing 31 tonight. This was an interesting thing. He did this kind of independently, partially crowdfunded. So it's
I want
a
their
movie.
money back. Is that possible? Can I get money
crowds.
from? Yeah, I would like the crowd.
Excuse
money.
me, crowd. Gather around.
It's a weird, it's a weird thing when you have that thought of like, ooh, people paid for this like before it was
I'd like
a
to
thing.
crowdfund the therapy I'm going to need after watching this movie.
See, I can understand paying for it before you know anything about it, though.
Yeah.
Like he's like, yeah, I'm gonna make an evil clown movie. You're like, I'll give you all
Okay,
my money.
sure.
How
I'll pay
much?
$5 to see a clown.
Yeah.
I'll pay $5 to see a clown.
I had a nickel for every time I've said that.
So do you guys think that maybe all this creepy clowns hanging out in the woods behind apartment complexes is like the people that funded this movie?
They're in my hometown now. That I saw a story today from upstate New York of a creepy clown sighting.
Do you think that's real though? Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
I think,
I do.
I think what's
so.
happened. I think
because like 2 months ago, I kept seeing articles that they were filming Father of the Bride 3 in everyone's hometown.
no, I think it's real. I think what's happening now is you're just seeing really lonely people deciding they want to do like a copycat thing after those first reports.
Yeah.
I call bullshit.
All
I
you
mean,
gotta-
I'll say you guys aren't gonna like this, but the New York Times covered it like this week, so that's for me now. I believe it.
All right, that was my
Uh,
next question. Like, where is this?
oh.
supposed
Are
to
they
happen?
are they in New York City? How would you notice?
They're not in New York City. I mean, if they were, you would not notice. to your
Schnars is
point.
like,
that's a fair point.
Schnars is like, oh, you mean to tell me the Gray Lady hasn't covered it?
Paper of record, Eric. No, but Casey, where I thought you were going with it is, do we think the creepy clown people, which I'm surprised we haven't discussed, are like a what's it called, kind of guerrilla marketing campaign for 31?
Well, that too.
No, I think they're creepy shut-ins.
Yeah.
Well, they're
think
not
it's-
shut in anymore. They're outside.
They actually could be
Yes.
bloody good horror
They're
listeners.
shutouts.
They're spending more time outside than we are.
We should be careful. They could be fans.
I'm sure they are.
They just got locked out of their basement.
Mom, Mom.
Sorry, I was thinking about that one, and I took a sip of water, and then I was gonna spit it.
I didn't know
out.
the door was gonna lock behind me.
I'll go to that interview tomorrow.
I'm just a
Um,
shutout now.
All right, John. So in addition to
Maybe
being,
that. Wait, hold on. Maybe the thing in that
Oh, we got
clown
more.
movie where you put on the makeup and it becomes permanent. Maybe that's a thing now. Maybe people,
Clown. I think that movie was just called Clown.
yeah.
Yeah.
In
Cloying.
addition to being the magical time of Rob Zombie, it's also Halloween spooky time, John Schnars.
I think we're officially at spooky.
Oh, it's
spooky
spooky.
time.
I have a plastic light up cheap pumpkin lantern thing that I bought from Target, so that's how I know.
How long have the Halloween adventures been open around y'all? Is that what they're called?
That is.
Hey, what's the costume
Spirit?
store?
I don't.
Out here, it's Spirit of Halloween. Thank you very
No,
much.
it's Spirit. Yeah, it's
Ah,
Spirit Halloween.
you have Spirit,
Here's
too.
the thing: I don't have
You-
one within an hour of me.
You know
Spirit
what?
Airlines.
I
We
could-
have one right around the corner, and my wife was told by the guy that works there today they're actually owned by Party City.
That's awesome.
Not
That
surprised.
surprised me.
I googled that shit. The closest one was like an hour away. I got so mad,
Oh.
so I went to
That
Target.
also means that like someone who works for like Party City corporate, their job is just to source really fucking weird Halloween shit once a year. That's
It's-
probably pretty
Well,
awesome.
But
don't
they have all
forget-
this stuff at Party City too. Like
Don't
the guy
forget-
literally told my wife that, oh, if we don't have the costume here, we'll just go across the street.
Don't forget though, they also have to source creepy abandoned stores to put their spirit stores. It's usually just like empty storefronts.
That's true.
Staples. It's all
they use them
Staples
for all
now.
different stuff.
Circuit cities.
Mm.
Ours I've not seen one open yet in New York, but they tend to be a little later in the game, I think. Yes, Eric, we see your pumpkin. All right.
John, tell me about horror
Put that
movies.
pumpkin away.
John, tell me about horror movies.
So horror movies, we're at a time when typically we would be seeing somewhat of a glut. Not really the case this year. We wanted to talk a little bit upcoming schedule. So as people who are counting, as we do, may notice, we're about 6 episodes from episode 400. At the pace we're going, we will hit that the week after Halloween, which, it'll be an exciting time for a reflection
Heyo.
and the like. We've talked a little bit about some special stuff we might do on that show, but not undecided. Before we get there, we will have an open week next week, which we have not really discussed what we're going to do. But there's a bunch of films we've been talking about, Yoga Hosers, other things going back from
Jesus,
2016.
will this podcast survive Rob Zombie and Kevin Smith 2 weeks in a row?
We almost owe it to ourselves at this point.
And potentially Medea.
Well,
I think we should discuss it because I did have the theory because I actually watched Yoga Hosers and this on the same weekend. And I'm pretty sure once you watch Yoga Hosers, you'll understand. But I'm pretty sure 31 is what happens in the basement underneath the A to Z in Yoga Hosers.
Ooh.
It's the same universe.
now I have to watch it.
Yeah.
At this point, the only thing that's left is for Rob Zombie and Kevin Smith to just make an anthology movie together.
With
Or
Ty
a
West.
big hairy baby.
Wasn't Kevin Smith involved with the movie I missed that you guys did?
Holidays?
Holidays,
Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't think Zombie was.
Yeah, well,
And
it
Kevin,
would take something really special to
and
bring those two together.
Kevin Smith's short was horrendous in that and like brought down the whole movie, which was pretty good.
Okay. Well, maybe I'll have to revisit it. So we are open. We are going to cover Girl on the Train, which is in heavy rotation on TV ads if you guys are seeing any of those. We're then open again for the week of the 14th. Then, as we roll into Halloween, we have Ouija 2, aka Ouija Origin of Evil. We then also that same week have a little movie near and dear to the hearts of the Bloody Good Horror crew, apparently. Boo! Exclamation point! A Medea Halloween, and then Rings.
Could you read it as it's written, John, please?
Yeah, I'd like to hear that exclamation point.
Yeah.
It's like Boo! A Medea Halloween, like that.
Better.
That's
Yeah.
better.
Is that how you normally read sentences with exclamation points?
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Boo.
What are you doing here?
There was some interpretation in there, Mark.
That was good.
But
You're
yeah.
an artist. I get it.
So we've got 3 out of the next 5 weeks at the theater. We're gonna have to find some time for Medea because right after that we have a movie called we have episode 400. There's a movie Shut In. Arrival comes out. I don't know. We've talked about that.
So
a little
we've
bit.
been discussing offline here, like a Medea Halloween, and it's just become a little bit of a contentious issue. I just have to say, this is not a hill I plan to die on. Let me start off by saying that. But
I'll take that bullet for you, Eric.
But
I'll
if-
die on that hill.
This
for
isn't
you.
a Huntsman movie.
But if you give me a choice between Boo, a Medea Halloween, and some Ouija sequel, I'd rather see Medea.
I mean that's fair. I feel like
Put that on the poster.
Ouija sequel is I
I'm
don't know.
telling you
looks okay.
guys,
It looks okay to me, yeah.
Put it this way: we've already been there, done that with Ouija. We have definitely never been there, done that with a Boo Medea movie.
yes, it's
My-
crossing a racial
Speak for
divide,
yourself.
It's true.
a cultural divide.
Yeah, there's a lot of healing to be done in this country, and
I think
us
I
seeing
think we can do it.
Medea Halloween is the
I
start.
feel like this is the start.
I'm
Yeah.
telling you now, from the trailers I've seen, boo, Medea's Halloween. It's gonna be the next Ernest Scared Stupid.
It doesn't look
I'll
that
say it here
bad.
right now.
Oh, God.
I kind of like that everyone's saying Boo like Schnars now.
You guys, I think, did we have the discussion on air or off air about Medea movies in general?
Off air,
I think
I
It was
believe.
off.
Okay, so I've seen a couple of Medea movies, and I just don't want you to get your hopes up too high. Is all I'm saying.
No, I fully plan for there to be some heavy-handed moralism at some point.
Okay.
Somebody
Yeah.
somebody will get AIDS because they cheated on their significant other.
Okay.
Boy,
As long as you go in with
It'll
that
just be
expectation.
like pumpkin AIDS because that way it's like Halloween.
Mark reads a
Pumpkin
movie
AIDS.
guide every week. We're okay with the moral bend.
Yeah.
We're not complete heathens.
It's
like
basically-
I am like I do want to see Medea, but I'm kind of with John that I feel like Ouija is probably more relevant for our
People
season.
aren't sitting around being like, should I go see Medea?
Listen, if you
They
guys
might be about.
You know what people are talking about, John.
Oh, it's-
You
if
don't
we
know.
voted, if show of hands, if we voted right now, who would say we should do it? Raise your hand.
Medea.
I'm not saying we should never do it, but we should
Okay.
not
Okay.
do it in
Wait, did you
If
say
you-
should we boo Medea?
If you guys swear on all that is sacred to you that we do it on video, I will let it go.
All right.
Yeah, I 100% think we should do it. I just don't
Joe
think
suggested a spectacular, but
Don't you?
I
fuck
think that
me,
would be great.
Schnars. Don't you mess with me here, Schnars.
My only argument in this, if we're doing Medea while it's in the theater, is that's the only one that's actually a Halloween movie.
But no, but I do think Schnars has a point that like even if we say like that wasn't that bad, nobody's gonna go run out to the theater and see it. Whereas some of our listeners might go be interested in Ouija if it is decent.
That, to be fair, Ouija, the new Ouija looks a lot better than the first one.
Sort of. I thought that at first, and now I'm like,
I never saw the first one. I don't think.
I
Do
don't
you
think I
guys
did
think I
either.
should watch it?
it was
to
basically like a
prepare?
No.
It was a
Wait,
it was
wasn't
a,
that the one where the girl like super violently hung herself with Christmas lights in the very beginning of the movie?
It was like a tweeny movie, and then somebody gets
Yeah.
killed on a like pool cover or something dumb.
Yeah, and I think like a dude brains himself on the sink. I'm just ruining everything that happens.
Yeah,
in the
now I
movie.
feel like I have seen it, so I'm
It,
good.
it was very lightweight, very tweeny.
Spoilers, Mark.
I'm actually just a Hasbro completist, so I might have to see it.
Well, you're gonna want to line up for the new.
Battleship still stings.
Yeah, you're gonna want to line up for the new Hot Wheels movie that Hollywood is
Oh,
producing.
Can't.
Did you see
Is
that?
there really one?
Yeah, with a Fast and Furious producer.
Oh,
Ooh.
interesting.
I'm down.
Interesting.
I did see an episode of the Hot Wheels cartoon, so
Only if there's cars that like you hit a button and the panel flips around, then it's damaged.
Oh, those were the best.
Yeah.
no, Stompers were the best. Those were a close second.
I don't know what that is.
I don't know what that is.
Stompers were little battery operated trucks with big foam tires that would climb over anything.
Were those Hot Wheels?
They were a little bit bigger. They were
What
awesome.
were those? Did you guys ever have? It was the similar idea, but it was supposed to like when it got to a hill, like claws came out.
I do
Oh,
remember that.
yeah, I remember those.
There
Those
were-
things, it was garbage. It
There
never
were
worked.
yeah.
there were so many gimmicky RC cars, like the one that would just if it flipped over, it just would keep going.
Yeah.
So really quick, the original Ouija, budget of $5 million apparently had a box office of $104 million.
Holy shit.
Wow.
Worldwide though, right?
Good for them.
Say again?
That's got to be worldwide, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I'm on Wikipedia. I was just reading about it. It was produced by Jason Blum, of course, but also Michael Bay.
I'm not surprised.
When are they gonna let David House produce a movie? The unknown other half of Blumhouse.
Yeah, unclear. He's
Lum
just-
apartment, guys. I saw when I was in France. I saw a French Blair Witch poster, and it was really exciting.
Was it a cool poster?
It was the same poster,
Oh,
but it was in
boo.
French.
Was it
Yeah,
Les
Mark.
Witch?
Le Blair Witch.
Since
Like
how's your honeymoon,
Oh,
Mark?
the witch with cheese.
How was your Mark? How was your gallivanting around Europe?
Oh my god, it was amazing. I want to live on a cruise ship.
Yeah, I don't.
Non-stop bread and alcohol. I've gained 300 pounds. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And in France and Italy weren't so bad either.
Yeah.
It
I
was-
have to say, I was very impressed by your video of the volcano that was actually smoking. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was fucking crazy. That was actually every night on the ship you
Photoshop.
have like a a designated dinner time and table, so you have like the same weights, the same
Yeah.
like wait staff or whatever. And for whatever reason, we were late that day, so they put us by that window, and we weren't
But they
supposed
were recording a
We
podcast.
know why you were late.
to. Yeah, I thought I was recording a podcast, so I figured we'd show up like at least 10 minutes late. Yeah, so it's
Thank you,
just
Joe.
kind of by happenstance that we ended up by that window, and sure enough, there's an active volcano island that we sailed by, which is pretty cool.
Nice.
Lots of cool shit.
I can honestly say I haven't seen that. We don't see that very often in Indiana.
Volcano? No, I would think not.
We're going to the woods. Bring your cheese and wine. We'll find the witch.
Are we prepared to talk at all about Patreon update stuff? Wasn't there some like stuff we're working on? Or are we not talking about that yet?
no further update from the last episode. We are drawing nearer to a new design,
Okay.
which should be unveiled soon.
A T-shirt design, that is.
How exciting.
Which will also come together with the special prize for the
Have we
Long-time
seen
patrons.
like a sample yet or anything?
some rough sketches.
Could
We're working on
Is
it.
it a spooky surprise?
Yeah, what does
Trust-
it look like?
could
Trust
I
the process,
could
guys.
I see
Trust
it?
the
maybe?
process.
Could
What's
I
it? What's
see
it look like?
Could you guys forward it to me so I can look at it?
Yeah, what? Go and see it. Can we post it in the chat?
We'll talk about it after the show.
Trust the process.
Can we post it in the stream? What's it? What's
Yeah.
it look like?
It's just a very detailed stipple pencil illustration of Joe. So
All right, Joe. What are we drinking while Mark and Schnars you slurp my authority?
you slurp.
Slurp? Did you say?
Yes,
How
I
can
did.
you slurp?
You
Yeah,
slurp.
dog, you slurp.
Yeah, let me send you the pic. I don't know. Oh, fan backer. Don't worry about it. So this week we are reviewing Rob Zombie's 31. And a lot of people don't realize, but the beautiful state of California is also the 31st state.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Mm.
So the good folks at Firestone Walker Brewing Company in Paso Robles, California, put out a Pale 31 beer, which is delicious. As you might expect, this is a pale ale, which has, so they made it like as a traditional West Coast style pale ale. So a lot of hops in here, but like really sort of balanced well with the malt. You could probably equate it a lot to like a Sierra Nevada pale ale, which is probably the most famous one out there. I mean, those guys kind of started that whole style. So they kind of did this as like a tribute to that style of beer. So like a really good like sort of hop up front, but you know, a nice like malt. They call it like a backbone. So it's not like too overpowering. Only comes in at about 5% alcohol, so it's not like super high. So you can definitely drink like a few of these. Especially in like the fall time, I really like this beer and beers like it because it's nice on like a crisp day. And yeah, everything Firestone puts out is really good. If you guys have ever had their stout, I think it's Merlin.
What?
Whatever.
It's definitely
the
not
same
Merkin.
Is that
Could be
the
the
same people
Merkin.
that do the tires?
I don't think you know what you're saying.
Pretty sure I do. Their Velvet Merkin is delicious.
Now, isn't she the Chancellor of Germany?
Sure.
Angela
Let's go with
Merkel.
that.
That's Angela Merkin.
Yeah.
Their website's firestonebeer.com, and I wholeheartedly recommend everything they put out.
Oh God.
Yeah,
Missed you guys.
yeah, Merkin.
That's actually just a way to say American.
Real Merkins.
Yeah, exactly.
Joe just spoiled the surprise, by the way, for the Patreons. We're putting out BGH Merkins.
Yeah.
They're crafted after each one of our
Hand-
cubic regions.
Hand
Oh
woven.
my
Mine's
God.
salt, pepper.
This is getting
Startlingly accurate.
Mark's is on his chest.
They are hand woven by tiny Hitler clowns.
Oh my God.
All right, guys, it's time.
Hey,
Let's talk about 31.
This is Dr. Mambo. Here, boy, come on. Come on, Dr. Mambo.
Is a doctor like a physician or a professor?
Yeah, he's a professor. Of being a dog? Ooh, faced!
Hi, this is Electra Avellan. And this is Elise Avellan. And we're the crazy babysitter twins from Grindhouse. And you're listening to Bloody Good Horror. Mwah.
This is it, Jennifer. Your big break in TV. From the prime time, bitch. Main feature.
And we're back.
Are those girls really babysitters in those movies? I don't remember.
They're the crazy babysitter twins, Joe.
Can you imagine if you're like a 11-year-old or 12-year-old boy and those two showed up to babysit you?
Yes.
I think I'd
Pretty cool.
I'd put my head through a wall.
Oh Lord.
31. Directed
It's not
by-
just a number anymore.
Rob Zombie. Having not been satisfied by thoroughly ruining the Halloween franchise, he thought, I'm going to make another Halloween movie. This
We're
time,
going with a lot of editorializing up front here.
this time I'll
Let
really...
me throw out a question before we dive into the conversation here. Who was still holding out hope that Rob Zombie had something up his sleeve?
I was.
I wasn't.
I thought.
No,
I thought.
At this point, I thought he makes mild amusements. Like, let's see. Here's the thing. Lords of Salem had a couple wacky things in it that you remember. Like, you remember Flipper Babies. And so
Yes.
anybody that can craft memorable moments like that,
There were a few Flipper Babies.
I'll at least take a look. You know what I mean? But I in no way was anticipating anything he's doing.
I don't know. I mean, did you guys see 1 through 30? Like, those were all right. I've literally been waiting all week to make that joke.
Oh, you are
well, I'll
a
say
fucking
you're
whack
landing,
job.
Joe. I think I landed pretty hard. Oh,
You keep a notebook, don't you? Just like some things I can say.
No,
during-
that was the one. That's all I had.
John Schnars.
flawless victory.
Yes, Eric.
John Schnars, Duke alum, please bring us the word of the day. I don't even have the energy for Duke jokes anymore, but I just feel like to point it out.
You just like state facts. alumni of Duke University.
You're
Just happy
just
to
like
be here.
mean. Jones at Duke. He's an
Checking
asshole.
in at 5'10", 98 pounds, Jonathan Schnorrs.
Today's word, Eric, is rococo.
Ooh,
That's Rococo.
good for you, Glenn Rococo.
Rococo can mean extravagantly or excessively ornate, especially of music or literature, highly ornamented and florid.
Whoa.
More specifically, the definition when applied to typically architecture or furniture or other types of art sometimes, of or characterized by an elaborately ornamental late Baroque style of decoration. Prevalent in 18th century continental Europe, with asymmetrical patterns involving motifs and scrollwork.
In this particular case, it also means did not raise enough money for grease paint for everybody.
What's that have to do with this movie, John?
Yeah, so 31. I mean, I can get into the plot a little bit, but essentially, you've got a competition. Is sort of the overarching story here between three people, one of whom is Malcolm McDowell. I can't remember the other two. There's two women, and they are sort of enacting this competition, and they dress in very sort of broke down Rococo outfits, very much sort of like court of Versailles type of hair, dress, but really worn down, like kind of grungy and Rococo at the same time.
Like the Hunger Games by way of Rob Zombie, basically, but less
Yes.
I
futuristic.
think you have to roll the R when you say it.
Rococo.
Yeah,
Ooh,
thank you. That's what
Rococo, man.
sexual.
Is it safe to assume that if there's a powdered wig in a modern setting, it's rococo?
Well, powdered wig, like, because American Revolution kind of would have used powdered wigs, but
I mean in the modern setting, though.
maybe, sure.
Why didn't we wear
I'll give you a-
powdered wigs tonight?
You know what's the worst?
Rococo, man.
You know what's the worst? Earwigs.
Oh.
They are gross.
And they call them that because they used to hang out in people's wigs because they like dry places.
Oh,
Oh.
Fact. All right,
I would
John.
think that would be kind of sweaty.
Why didn't they call them hair wigs then?
John, attempt to describe this movie to us, please.
So 31 is primarily about a group of 5 carnies. They never like explicitly defined that way, but
We covered that when we said this is a Rob Zombie movie in the beginning.
Small hands.
thing.
Smell like cabbage.
They are sort of like traveling by minivan or RV rather to the next carnival place, I guess. And they, while in transport, they are ambushed and captured by masked, hooded folk. When they wake up, they're chained in sort of, in like a rack. And they're lined up 1 through 5, and they in fact have bracelets on numbering them 1 through 5. And that's when we meet Malcolm McDowell. He comes out and he explains that they are going to play a game called 31. 31 because it is Halloween. It's October 31st, and apparently they play this game every year. And the game basically just is that they have to survive until the next day. So they are then released, but pursued by a sort of selection, or there's a group of different characters that come after them one by one, and they don't all they come at them one at a time, and just try to kill them in zany ways. So the first one is a little person called Sickhead,
Dressed like a Hitler clown.
Oh,
dressed like a hit. They are all clowns of some kind, and they all have a last name Head, or last name. They have an abbreviator. My words are escaping me. They like Doom Head, Sick Head, Schizo Head, Psycho
It's
Head.
sort of-
so annoying.
They're like
Yeah.
they're like Mega Man villains.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, really, what this movie is, and this is like maybe a little too pointed, but it's a Rob Zombie remake of The Running Man.
There's a lot of other movies in there too, though. But yeah, I mean, I understand. what
But
you're
the
saying.
basic plot line is
Yeah.
exactly the same, except that they're not ex-cons. They're just like kind of rando carnies, and
Which are really worse.
yeah, but the whole kind of like overwrought character, like sort of like WWE characters attacking them one at a time,
Yeah.
and them having to survive different sort of styles of attack.
They just
So
replaced the populace as the crowd with the purge.
yeah. Yeah, so you have Father Murder, Sister Serpent, and Sister Dragon. It's Malcolm McDowell, Jane Carr, and Judy Geeson.
I'm getting upset just me reading the character names because they're so Rob Zombie.
Oh, I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah, so that's sort of our setup. The sort of the main characters here are all folks you would recognize from other zombie things. Most, especially his wife, Sherry Moon Zombie, who I assume continues to be cast because she will work for very little and or nothing. You got Jeff Daniel Phillips, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs, Meg Foster, and then Kevin Jackson. I think those are the five.
What is Meg Foster from?
She was Evelyn in Masters of the Universe.
Yeah. She was also They Live. She was Holly.
She's a pretty big B-movie screen queen.
Okay, yeah, Masters of the Universe. I know that.
Yep, she was.
She was in Oblivion, like in '94. She was pretty great.
She was fine back in the day, yeah.
I had quite a little childhood crush on Evelyn.
Yeah. Masters of the
She
Universe.
was so mean.
Oh my god! Please
yeah, so that's our crew.
I would really like BC to make a GIF of the creepy face Joe just made because that was pretty good. All right, Joe, what do you think of this? Give me your base Rob Zombie thoughts in a few words.
So, I really liked House of a Thousand Corpses, and since then, I really haven't been much of a fan of any of his stuff. I think Mark, you're probably the only one that saw El Super Beasto, whatever that like animated one he did.
I think Casey's seen it.
Yeah, I mean that was okay. Everything else I've kind of been like bleh on. But I mean, I loved the premise of this movie. Like, I really enjoy sort of that Running Man style of, you know, like people being hunted and kind of, you know, trying to get out of this area. So I had decent expectations. But unfortunately, I mean, right off the bat, the acting is really, really bad in this, and kind of tough to watch. Like, I don't know. This is going to sound awful, but are those guys actually Jamaican, or was that just like a...
I don't think so. It's like he said he showed them Day of the Dead.
Yeah.
And he's like, imitate this guy's accent because it sounds just like the fake accent that guy did.
I think the little Nazi guy was Puerto Rican.
He is, just based on his name in IMDb.
Yeah. Like, it was distracting almost. Sherry Moon Zombie, again, like, just not very good in this. I mean, that being said, I think just based on our emails back and forth, I probably like this a little more than all you guys. I still found it to be somewhat fun, but I'll say the ending frustrated me a great deal.
A large amount.
Yeah,
of
but
frustrating.
I mean, overall, I was pretty down on this. There wasn't much in the way of highlights, unfortunately.
Mark.
Yeah, I mean, we were starting to talk about it on the pre-show, and then we decided to take it to the real show. But this is actually, like, for a movie that is supposed to be built around the tension of like these different bad guys and the different like phases of the game. It's actually like pretty insufferable for the first, I would say, like 3/4 of the movie. It starts to pick up towards the end.
When you say like 3/4, you can no longer say like the first 3/4. That's just 3/4 of the movie. It's not like the first 5 minutes.
Yeah. Well, in the last 3/4, it really changes. No, I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to not sound like a broken record, but the dialogue is just so fucking terrible. It's just it's the worst. It's like
that breakfast scene in the Halloween remake in a whole movie.
Mm.
Yeah,
it's like exactly. The one line that Evan brought up was the in Popcorn, like everyone likes hell or something.
I think you got that backwards, but yes,
hell,
whatever.
Everyone likes popcorn or something. Yeah, it's something stupid like.
So,
I just
wait,
feel like
the horse has to be yours.
Has to be your horse.
I just feel like he has a notebook that he writes dirty things in, and then he just turns it into a movie eventually. I think towards the end it starts to pick up and like, you know, it sort of catches up to its premise, but you just gotta wade through a ton of fucking garbage to get there, and it's kind of upsetting.
I mean, if you stick your head up a butcher's ass, no wait.
Stick your head up the clown's ass.
Sorry, John.
Yeah, I disliked this pretty much all the way through. There was very little three quarters about it for me. Um, there are, I think over email I said there was no redeeming qualities. I like that's probably overly dramatic, but there are a few things about this that I liked. The writing was terrible, as we were just joking. The acting was really really bad. It, it's hard. I mean, because I've at least appreciated some of the things that Rob Zombie has done, but and he does. The one thing you can say for him is he has sort of a specific aesthetic that he likes,
But
and
it's not even original. It's just like he's cribbed a bunch of things from stuff he likes, and it's like,
I mean, the argument that I would make is that at this point, it's like his aesthetic though. Like whether or not it's like wholly original, probably not. But like he at least has like refined it and like stayed with it and like worked it to the point where he's trying to make it something original. Whether or not he's actually saying anything new, or so I mean, the argument I would make is that he is trying to say something about sort of like the lower class. I mean, like it's why he makes all these movies about carnies on the road and like people living in like kind of like they're just not they're not even like middle class people. They're like lower class. You know what? I don't know of a better way to kind of explain it without kind of sounding nasty.
Say
but
that
I
they
think,
don't have very nice TVs.
well, the TV situation is definitely bleak. I would say the dental situation is bleak. I mean, like he has really kind of like chosen that as the place. And what's kind of curious to me is I feel like in his head maybe he's saying something about that, but like it's unclear what exactly he's trying to say. And it's also weird because he's like, I don't know if he's like super rich, but he's definitely not a middle class person.
he's not a carny.
No.
He just wants to be.
Well, and that's what's weird, right? It like kind of has this element of him like reveling in like the lower class sort of aesthetic when like he's definitely not someone who
It would be like it would be like if you made a movie about carnies.
I mean, I don't maybe mine would be better. I don't know. But the thing I don't well cuz like I don't know what his background. Maybe he grew up with carnies, but it just seems
I
a
don't
little
think so.
I don't know. So yeah, the person I mean I would like to talk about later, and I'll stop talking. Is the I think his name's Doomhead. He's kind of like the main bad guy who we meet in the very first scene, and then kind of comes back around. He to me at least was like somewhat interesting.
Well, right, but unfortunately, he's saying Rob Zombie's dialogue.
Yeah, I mean he's
like 30 seconds in this movie. I went, oh boy.
I was also shocked when I realized that wasn't Bill Moseley.
Yeah,
I know. I was kind of
looks like
surprised
an
too.
emaciated Bill Moseley. If
Like a
that's
little man that lives inside Bill Moseley.
Casey.
I'll fully admit I'm a Rob Zombie apologist. I really liked House of a Thousand Corpses. I love Devil's Reject. I thought it actually like showed growth as a filmmaker for him. There's some cool stuff like with cinematography and stuff. The first Halloween I didn't mind. The second Halloween I thought was garbage. Lords of Salem I didn't really get, but I thought he was doing something different and unique, which gave me hope for this one because, yeah, I mean, even looking at like Lords of Salem, it wasn't middle class, obviously, but he was getting away from the kind of the carny thing and whatnot with all of his characterizations and everything. So I was hoping he was going for something different, and this one really just fell right back into the trough. This was his chance to break out, do something original, something new, prove everybody that he actually had something, and it just feels like he fell short. The dialogue is terrible. There's some good stuff in this movie. Some of the violence is cool. The whole idea, but when it gets down to the writing, the dialogue's terrible. But the fact that all the bad guys are named something head really drove me nuts. I meant to bring that up when we were discussing this beforehand, but how fucking lazy is that?
I mean, it must be a reference to something that we're missing.
Yeah, he had an album like Electric Head or something, right?
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But and those characters, while I didn't necessarily appreciate all the characters of the big bads that showed up there to do the hunting and whatnot, they're pretty cliche and everything, but they were unique enough that they warranted something like a cool moniker that would make you believe them, but they don't because they're all something head.
Yeah. Head. I'll just kind of round us out here. This movie sucks.
Oh,
This movie is bad. It is terrible. I think that the most interesting aspect to me is that it was partially crowdfunded. Like, on some level, Rob Zombie wants to go out, and there's a group of people that are going to pay this dude money to make these movies. Awesome, man. Like Kevin Smith, do your thing, have fun. I'd love to know what, as Mark was saying, like I'd love to know what the people who crowdfunded it think, but none of those people are here. So I can only tell you
Speak
what
for
I
yourself.
think. You know, the dialogue is it's almost indescribably bad. You know, it's very similar to like when we talk about Eli Roth trying to write like edgy dialogue, but worse. It's worse. Like I really wonder if Rob Zombie ever talks to any human being ever.
We're pretty sure he talks to Sherry Moon Zombie.
Because he doesn't write. This stuff is like, again, like it's similar to Eli Roth. It's like what a 14-year-old thinks is edgy, and it's like it's chill. It gives you douche chills because it's so unnatural and forced, and like, and we're discussing this over email. It's like, is this supposed to be funny? Because it seems like it's being presented to me in a way that it's supposed to be, but it is definitely not, and it makes it worse that like he thinks this stuff is funny. It's like so the lowest common denominator dumb. It's literally that breakfast scene in Halloween stretched out to a whole movie. You know, I do think you get a little respite once the game starts, because I think Mark said this, like at least they stop talking and they're just kind of yelling and sniveling and screaming. But like then you have to endure that for another 45 minutes or whatever. And the really bizarre thing is like as a director, this many movies in, and he's literally still just cribbing from other better things. Like he's even cribbing from himself. Like the scene where they accost the van and they rip everybody out of and abduct him, like the way that was shot, set up, straight out of House of a Thousand Corpses. Like he literally is cribbing his own shit at this point. And so I just think like with a guy like Zombie, you see House of a Thousand Corpses and you go, that's really rough around the edges. I want to see what else this guy has up his sleeve, right? Like he made a movie. Let's see what else he can do. Like I've seen enough at this point, and what he can do is like not that interesting to me. It's literally like, you know, I always, I don't know. I always don't like the comparison of like, oh, he started out as a music video director, blah blah blah. But because a lot of times that's a super legit way to get into making movies and making connections.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that Rob Zombie like really never left that behind enough. He has this really awful, hacky habit of playing entire songs while he just shows you pictures like he's making a music video. And it is so distracting. The movie starts out that way. Then he does it again at the end with like an Aerosmith song. And it's just like, and then the scenes go on unnaturally long because he just wants to play the whole song. And it's like a 16-year-old making a movie. It's the only way you can like think about it. There's like no self-control. It's all overindulgence. It's all cribbing from other people. There's nothing original. It's like Blade Runner plus Hunger Games plus The Purge plus the Texas Chainsaw Massacre plus like House of a Thousand Corpses, and you have this. Like so.
So that's a thumbs down from you? Or...
But again, like, it didn't make me mad because I do really feel like if he's crowdfunding, like, good on you, man. Keep making these dumb movies. I'm just like, I'm checked out, man, is all I'm saying. Like, I don't care anymore.
Well,
I
so
think
go ahead,
Kevin
Casey.
Smith, I think the Kevin Smith comparison is really apt right now because both of these guys are guys who started out with some backing and they had some solid stuff to set them up with some cred, and then they're to the point. Both of them are at the point in their careers where they're turning loose and doing something on their own.
And they both feel like they can only make the movies they really want to make if they crowdfund.
Right, but then when you boil it down, Kevin Smith's he's doing whatever the fuck he wants, and he's doing some weirdo shit. I'm not talking about, it doesn't matter if you like his movies or not, but I mean, he's got Tusk where it was a dude turning a guy into a walrus. He's got Yoga Hosers that's got Nazis bratwursts in it.
Right, like
Zombie gets turned loose to do that with whatever the fuck he wants, and he remakes Running Man.
And he cribs a bunch of shit. Like, yeah, I gotta say, like, whether it's unbelievably dumb or not, Kevin Smith is trying to do original stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, that I think that's a really apt comparison right now. It's a really good
Because
comparison to
at
make
some
it for
point,
genre.
we always talk about the difference between homage and just outright ripping off, and I think the difference is doing it gracefully. And literally, that's a word Zombie probably doesn't even know what it means.
I wouldn't even call Zombie ripping off all these other elements and stuff. He just doesn't know when to stop. He knows what he likes and he tries to cram it all in there, and he doesn't know how to make his own aesthetic to work those ways in there. I don't know that he's blatantly do it. Probably he is. That's the apologist in me talking. But I think that he's like, this is really cool. I want to work this into here. It goes back to the whole 16-year-old filmmaker thing.
I mean, I think he's always worn his influences on his sleeve, but yeah, I think you're right. I think he just doesn't know where the line is.
Yeah.
I mean, like getting. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's weird. Well, and maybe this is part of it, is like you watch House of a Thousand Corpses, like that wasn't the most original film ever, but to your point on, sort of the scale of imitation and where you're willing to tolerate and where it becomes.
You also expect that from a first-time filmmaker.
Sure,
That's
but
how you learn. You imitate.
And like Devil's Rejects, like I actually really like that film. I've seen it multiple times.
Eli Roth's first movie was a lot of imitation of horror stuff that he loved.
Sure, but you can do it. You can do imitation. To your point, there is this sort of like it's tough because it's like a big gray area, and like some people will be like, oh, that's still great homage, and some people are like, no, that's garbage, But it's where Devil's Rejects at least had I think,
it's
kind of unique aesthetic and kind of not even aesthetic, but kind of like tone to it.
Yeah.
It was very much of the sort of like Fall of Aquarius, even though it's set way later than that time period. Like it had that kind of element to it. I think you kind of hit on this. Like it doesn't have anything unique in there, right? It does have this sort of overarching narrative of Malcolm McDowell, but that stuff is like really not fleshed out at all.
That's right. No. Also, Malcolm McDowell's in it.
Yeah,
it's almost weird. Like, what kind of relationship do you think those two have? Like, that just baffles me.
The way that's presented is almost like an anthology film. Like, it's like a rapper segment to these different kind of bad guys that they introduce.
Well, I also just like the just random naked woman. Like, here's a naked woman.
Remind me at the end when they leave. Like, don't the Malcolm McDowell and the two women like take off their costumes and they're just kind of like regular,
Yeah, I mean they're done for the night, so they're
it's very purgy,
but they're not like they're not like upper crust like fancy looking people.
Yeah,
like
they're not the aristocrats that they're putting on.
And so then what's weird is like because the whole thing is about how they're like gambling and they're like paying the head people, the doom heads and the psycho heads, like. Are we to believe it's
I didn't get the impression that they weren't like I don't know. I still felt like they were wealthy people at the end. I didn't get the impression just because they were taking off their crap that they weren't.
Oh,
but I think they were more.
But I could be wrong.
John prefers that his aristocrats leave their wigs on at all times.
But no. It's more like there's like ways to signal that really easy. Like have them get into a limo instead of like get into a regular car, and like.
Did they get into a car? Did I miss that?
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. Like I don't think they got
helicopter.
I think it was just like they walked out a door.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Joe with that. I didn't get the impression that they didn't do anything to tell me that they weren't rich, but at the same time, they made the point to express that they were normal rich instead of like crazy aristocratic eccentric rich.
Because at one point they were like tossing around like big sums of money that they were betting against each other.
Yeah.
Well, did they? I don't even think they ever used money terms. They were like talking. It was like antiques and like valuable looking crap. I don't know. The whole point is like we didn't even fucking know what the hell was going on. Right. It's just like so absurd.
Right, it's not like something that was open to interpretation. It was just something that was so half baked that we can't really wrap our heads around it.
Yeah. You want your rich people to be flaming, is what you're telling
me. Flamingly rich.
Well, look who's talking.
So one thing too, when we're talking about if we think about like House of a Thousand Corpses or Devil's Rejects, is that there's other characters in the movie that sort of play off the kind of carny killer types. And if you think about this movie, it's like both sides, the protagonist and antagonist, with the exception of the kind of aristocrat people, are both sort of carny folk a little bit, and so like it's sort of, you don't get any contrast, and it's all of Rob Zombie's worst habits in both the protagonist and antagonist. It's like you don't really get a break from just like the like over the top, like everything. These people don't have normal conversations. It's always like just super crude sexual jokes and maybe some like racist shit in there, and like that's just how they constantly talk to each other. And I just people, I mean, I've know lower class people, like they talk about normal shit, you know. I don't know. I just like
they don't dress up like clowns and try to stab each other.
Well, no, you know what I mean.
Name
like,
names, Mark.
Some of my best friends are lower class.
That's a solid point. That's part of what made Devil's Rejects good to me, because he had William Forsythe, who was the sheriff in that one, who was kind of, he was so invested because he was kind of looking for whoever killed his brother, the other sheriff in the first movie. So you had some weight to it. You don't have that here at all.
I was totally fine with all of the carnies being killed. Like there was no point where I was like, I hope they make it.
Yeah.
So
I really hope the pimp makes it.
He did seem like a nice guy.
I like the redneck black guy.
Like it's just so there's a scene in the beginning where they're in the trailer and the one guy's having sex with his girl, and like the other guy walks back, and like the other guy's just standing in the room, and he's like, damn, that guy's got a huge ass or something.
Joke.
And then like something about how big her butt is, and then he's just standing there watching her, but what it really is an excuse for the audience to just sit there and linger on her nudeness. And it's just like, dude, like I've seen a naked woman before. It's like, what does this have to do with the movie?
Ooh. What's it like?
It's great, Joe. It's wonderful.
That really points back to the 16-year-old filmmaker thing too.
Yeah, totally.
I think you're onto something there.
So the defense that I will make is that at least Zombie, when he is using nudity in these movies, is using like regular human people nudity and not like he's not just like getting some like fucking.
It's not supermodels.
Yeah, supermodel, which I'm sure he could. He had $1.5 million for this movie apparently, so you can get a bunch of supermodels.
Well, there was those two. There was two like prancing around Malcolm McDowell, and then
that was necessary also.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on there or why that needed to happen.
That was Boob Head 1 and 2.
I think it would be 2 and 4.
So what do you think about the
right? But okay.
Multiplication, Joe?
This being obviously a Running Man knockoff. What do you think of his bad guys that he came up with?
I think that the first one and the last one were fine. Like they're obviously the most memorable. I honestly can barely remember all of the other ones, and I think that's another huge problem with this, is that they were just like very. I mean, they were just very like by the book archetypes that were dressed like clowns and spewing the same like dumb as shit dialogue throughout the whole thing.
See, my biggest problem was the last one. Like at the end of the day, it was just a skinny guy with makeup and knives. Like,
but I liked the idea. I kind of liked the idea that, you know, like they had another guy who was like gigantic, the guy that was like in the couple, and you would think that was the big scary guy. I feel like the fact that he was this like really lanky guy, and you were like, what is it about this guy that makes him the go-to kill? I thought that was actually kind of intriguing for some reason.
Yeah. I mean, I think the angle they were going was he was obviously like nuts. Like when they show him making love, like he's got some issues going on.
Yeah, I really loved his. I loved his intro at the beginning. So the whole movie opens up on a black and white close-up of Doomhead doing his monologue thing to what's the guy's name from Horror Hound that we all like?
Daniel Roebuck.
Yes, to Daniel Roebuck's character, who is a priest that was not involved in the main part of the movie. I actually really liked that intro to the movie. It was pretty good. It was something different that Rob Zombie did. It kind of put you in a mindset. Unfortunately, he didn't do much with it.
Well, at first you think he's talking to the camera, and then it's revealed.
Yeah,
I didn't, because immediately it's Rob Zombie dialogue. Like immediately.
Yeah, that was my problem too. I'm like, oh god.
And it just goes on.
Sort of feels
it goes on for like 5 minutes.
And I don't mean this in a good way, but all of the other sort of bad guy characters just felt like really half-baked haunted house characters.
Yes,
but that's his shtick.
Like especially like you talked about.
But he's capable of he has to be capable of something. Because if you think a House of a Thousand Corpses, like that does have that haunted house aspect to it, but at least there was some like memorable character design.
they were
There
all
was like
characters that
really
are-
weird shit going on there. Like there wasn't. I mean, the clowns with the chainsaws, I get it, but there was
The Sea
nothing like
Germans.
completely over the top that I at least can usually expect from a Rob Zombie movie.
Yeah, the
So-
Z Germans were nothing more than the Joker and Harley Quinn,
Yeah.
but you got to see Tommy Pickles being a Harley Quinn.
Fun side note though, that German also played Nihilist number 3 in The Big
Yeah,
Lebowski.
the Big Lebowski. I saw that.
Yeah. As
We
well
want
as
some money, Lebowski.
he also played, I don't know if you guys are fans of Deuce Bigelow, Male Gigolo, but
Oh,
he
absolutely.
plays the huge lady that he gets
God,
on the
how
table
many
with.
conversations do you have that start with? I don't know if you guys are fans.
Ah,
of
So,
It's a top 5 comedy.
It's
So,
pretty
uh,
good,
the
right?
90s
Like
for me.
I was
Yeah.
shocked at how
TBMG.
funny it was.
it was actually on HBO this weekend. I watched like 5
I probably
minutes
watch
of
it like not once a year, but once
Are
every
you
couple
guys
years for
serious?
sure.
Wow.
Oh,
Stop-
Jack, finally
stop
found
me.
some common ground.
Stop me if you've heard this
That's
joke
That's one
from Deuce
huge
Bigelow.
bitch.
Great. That's great. So I'm going to say something positive now.
Is it about Deuce Bigelow? I hope it is.
I liked the soundtrack with the exception of playing entire songs in the middle of the movie.
Yeah,
I
yeah, I
liked
thought
the
it was pretty good.
soundtrack. He made
He
noises under
did
the
play
movie.
the
good.
entirety of Freebird and fucking Devil's Reject. So
The entirety of it.
it's
Like,
hard to argue that that's not the most egregious use of that particular trope.
like through the solo and everything.
My positive out of this is I actually did like the violence that he brought into this. I thought he actually delivered on the violence.
Yeah,
for
I
the
mean,
most
the
part.
The action is cool. Like the action is great. Everything
Yeah.
else is just fucking terrible. Like I don't know.
I did. So I will say, like, I feel like in a lot of his movies, he goes for just like complete gross out over the top. And in this one, it felt a little held back, which I almost kind of appreciated.
Yeah, it
like-
seemed more realistic.
Yeah.
If this is holding back, good,
Well,
good,
What
sweet
are you
Jesus.
guys babbling about? Are you
Yeah.
insane?
Yeah, but compared to a House of a Thousand Corpses,
Yeah,
with
exactly.
Dr. Satan stomping around
slide-
in people's guts in the
Sure.
basement.
On a sliding scale. Sure.
Also, how fucking stupid do you have to be to take a table of food and eat it in the midst of this?
that was
No
ridiculous.
shit.
Yeah.
I was like, have you guys never watched a fucking horror movie?
Well,
Come on.
also this guy's
should-
like in the beginning they get set up by the girl, right? Who like he's pumping gas and this just like
Tommy Pickles from Rugrats, thank you.
Yeah.
okay. Is she
That's Dottie from
Yes.
Pee-wee's Big
Pee-wee's
Adventure.
Yes.
Big Adventure? Yeah. So anyway, she saunters up in like some Daisy Dukes and she starts making conversation with him casually about where they're going, what they're doing, and then casually asks like, "Oh, do you guys have any weapons?" And he's just like, "Oh no, we got a broken down old shotgun." I'm like, you don't wonder why she
Yeah.
wants to know if you have weapons or not?
I mean, he does ask her.
Like, can y'all defend yourselves? No, great. See you later.
But that's a whole aspect that they did nothing with too, because they set up. It was obvious when she showed up that she was looking for marks, so to speak. But they didn't do anything with it later. She showed
Why
up.
has it got to be Mark's, Casey?
Sorry, Mark.
Looking for Joe's.
I actually thought the scene where they're first captured was one of the most visually interesting
Yeah.
scenes in the movie.
shot-
I thought it was pretty.
It's shot exactly like the scene in House of a Thousand Corpses when they get in the van. They're trying to leave the house, like literally down to those little freeze flash frame cuts or whatever.
No fat Chris Hardwick.
Like
though.
I agree, it's shot okay, but it's just funny. I'm watching. I'm like, seriously, now you're just copying your own scenes. God damn it.
I mean, the other part of this too, and maybe I'm just like pulling this out of my ass, but if he gets a movie crowdfunded, does he really have any? If he is only beholden to himself, and in theory to the people that funded the movie, like in micro bits, does he have any obligation to make it any good? Like if
Well,
he doesn't have to
if-
pass it through a studio,
Well, if he wants
or
to do
through-
it again, then yes.
Yeah, I mean, if he wants his fans to not
That's-
fucking hate him.
No,
yeah,
but,
but don't you
maybe
think
the
though?
people that paid for this movie, like this is enough for them? I guess that's what we were
Well,
trying to have a hard time.
No,
no,
I
here it
think
is.
that's
Like-
probably true.
here it is. If he goes to do it again and he has trouble raising money, then they're not happy. If he doesn't, then
Well, if
God
that
bless him.
crowdfunding page is to be believed, no one has gotten their signed Blu-ray copies yet, so that might be the
Oh.
downfall of his next.
By the
movie.
way, we got to mention this. Like he used the worst crowdfunding. It's called fanbacked.com. It's like a, you took a time machine back to like the 90s internet. It is so bad.
Well, I was
it's
almost
like if
curious,
a rest station bathroom was a website.
did he like? Does he have like? I bet he like owns a part of this site or something. Like, there's just no
Maybe.
reason you would use this over like a Kickstarter.
That's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. Why wouldn't you use an actual reputable site?
Well, I'm saying
Not
he
that I
must
don't
own
know
a
that the
piece of
site is
it.
But
reputable, but I'm just saying one that. Why wouldn't you use one you've heard of?
Right. I agree with that. But when it boils
That
down
when
to
you
it,
go to
though,
their front page is not just a giant error page.
when we come away from this movie, I don't feel like he did it like he was just milking people for money. I kind of get the impression I came away with the feeling that Rob Zombie thought he was making a solid pick.
He probably
You'd
did it all
hope
for the
so.
nookie.
I mean, he didn't make this
Come on.
like this movie is not like doing super well financially.
No.
It was bought. I think Saban paid for the distribution rights,
Mm.
but I just
It has
I don't
it
know.
has mixed reviews on Rotten Tomatoes according to Wikipedia. Bloody disgusting liked it.
Saban of Power Rangers fame.
It's
Sabon.
I think it is the same folks. It has a 24 Metascore from
I don't-
Metacritic.
I don't know what that means.
It's not great.
Sweet.
Out of 100?
Yeah,
Out of 100?
yeah. It's like the tomatoes that you love so much. But
About a
it's-
Oh.
deuce and a half.
How many tomatoes does it have?
I don't know. I didn't look.
What's the tomato score?
Let's see.
Alright. Let's move on.
Tomato
Yeah.
meter.
It's
So-
our movie guide.
Are you recommending this, Eric?
You know what I like is good caprese salad with like some tomatoes and cheese.
It's
and-
it's actually this is kind of incredible. It's a 44
Basil.
on Rotten Tomatoes, but
basil.
Yeah, but how many people have
Eric,
reviewed
I want
this?
you to know,
That's
Eric,
what
that
I
in
was
the
gonna
past 2 weeks I've had about a dozen caprese salads.
Were they
So it's
Yeah.
fine.
were they
Oh my god.
amazing?
Each one better than the last in every
I
different
bet.
form that
I
I
bet.
that I had.
Yeah.
Incredible.
it's
That's
apparently getting,
caprese.
apparently on Rotten Tomatoes says this is getting a limited theatrical run October 20th.
Oh, be there.
I feel like they missed the opportunity to not put it on the 31st.
Yeah,
there.
I mean, I don't think we mentioned, but this is available on some stream. You can stream this at this point.
I think
Is
you
it?
probably get
on
more. I
Amazon.
think you probably get more Halloween theater interest in the weeks leading up to it than actual Halloween.
Yeah.
That's true.
Gotta
There's
take the
also
kids out
nothing.
trick-or-treat.
There's nothing particularly Halloweeny about this.
Nope.
No.
No, it's
it's
just
like-
zombie. It's just Rob Zombie.
The name of the movie, it like the whole thing is ridiculous.
It's like his id, the movie,
yeah. So
which turns out has a lot more to do with like dirty carnivals than it actually does Halloween.
I
That's
just,
pretty deep, Eric. I think
I
you're
just
spot on.
want to know, like, who watches a cut of this and they're like, yeah, that particular joke is hilarious. Put it in there,
Sure.
and then they do it 40 more fucking times. Like, no one in this movie talks like a normal person talks.
You see, it's
I don't-
funny.
Yeah, Gremlin vajayjay.
You see, it's funny because he's having sex with this
Lipstick,
lady here, and then
boobies,
this other
bitch.
guy's watching.
This will get us hate tweets, but I'd say Juggalos probably love it.
Ooh.
well, so I was gonna ask about what the overlap is between
we're gonna
Rob
open
Zombie-
that can of grease paint.
Do we have Juggalo fans I'm unaware of?
I'm sure we probably
I'm
have at least
swear-
one.
Yeah, absolutely. Based on Twitter, we do.
like the overlap between Rob Zombie fans, Rob Zombie movie fans, and Juggalos. Like, do you think it's high?
I gotta imagine, yeah.
I think there's
Yeah.
some Venn diagram action going on
Like,
there. Yeah.
so I
Do you
actually
think maybe that's like mixing up like Scottish and Irish people? You know, you think that
oh maybe I don't want to be offensive, but
The dude, I mean, I'll give the
think you
dude
do.
credit. He does fucked up violence pretty well.
yeah,
Sure.
I mean,
And I'm not saying all Juggalos are violent, but with
Isn't
a
that
lot
like-
of the
isn't that
Jay is.
there?
with a lot of
Jay's
the media
obviously
they put
violent.
out there, it's obviously
such a-
a big part of their culture. So
That was such a weird way to put that.
Jay is obviously violent.
I don't think they're violent. I think they are. I think they're peace-loving, spiritual music fans who
I
just.
think that they are also too dope, most of them.
Yeah.
didn't they
Yeah.
come out as a
Shaggy,
Christian
at
rap
least.
group?
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh yeah,
unconfirmed.
Jesus is definitely down with the clown.
Jesus Christ, we're really
All
going down a.
Should move on.
Anyway,
This movie's really dragged us
were there any
down.
other moments or things you guys wanted to bring up?
So I
Not
want
really.
to talk about this just quick because
God
we
damn.
seem to have mixed opinions over the performance of Sherry Moon Zombie in this movie.
It's awful. It's
Awful to really awful?
It's horrendous
Yes.
I didn't think this was the worst of her performance.
because she
Oh,
doesn't
no,
have
not by a
on,
long
because
shot.
she doesn't have a lot of dialogue.
Yeah.
Right.
Like calling
Let's
something
put-
the worst Sherry Moon Zombie is like, no, I was gonna make a. Never mind. I was
Let's
gonna
put
make
it
a
this
really
way.
bad reference, but I won't.
Do
Put
it,
this
do
way,
it.
for all of us, we've only seen
Was
Sherry
it 9/11?
or Sherry Moon Zombie act in a Rob Zombie movie. out of all of Rob Zombie movies starring Sherry Moon Zombie, this wasn't her worst.
Right,
Was
and
it?
if she was a super good actress, maybe other people would put her in movies also.
Exactly.
Well, I was gonna say I did check, and she's done very, very little that was not Rob Zombie produced and directed.
I think she showed up on an episode of CSI something.
I mean, again, it's like if he wants to make movies with his wife and people are giving him money for it, like good on you, dude.
His wife.
But I'm not going to sit here and tell you she's a good actress because
My wife.
I have integrity.
Oh. I don't know. Let's wrap this up.
Yeah.
I liked her better in this than in Salem's.
I still think she's best in House of a Thousand Corpses because I think even though I think a lot of people find her a little insufferable in that movie, but it's at least a character that she can lean into, which I think she does better than trying to just be a normal person.
Yeah. I don't know. For me,
Like I think she's worst. I think she's worst in Lords of Salem because she's just trying to act like a person.
Yes.
I mean, there's not really any good
She's not trying to
actors.
be a carny.
There's not any good actors or actresses in this entire movie.
No.
Like it's.
See, I thought who was the one guy with like the mustache? Like I didn't think he was terrible.
I mean,
Are
Malcolm.
we also writing off
the
Malcolm
hair.
McDowell?
Malcolm McDowell was in it. I'll give him credit for being a
Yeah.
decent
Guy
actor.
with the long hair. I kind of liked him.
I mean,
Yeah,
he's,
that's what I'm talking about.
scumbag, but yeah, not bad.
Malcolm McDowell has certainly been known to phone in a performance from time to time.
I think
so-
you mean Scumhead, John.
How dare you? Yeah, scumhead.
I'm fighting words.
What was
He
the
goes
movie?
by Fluffhead, actually.
Is it
but-
Doomsday? We're just halfway through.
Just listening to Fluff.
Is it Doomsday where halfway through Malcolm McDowell just shows up as a medieval king in the forest?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I'm pretty sure it was like literally a chair turnaround where it was just revealed to be him. Yeah, Dr.
That's pretty
Crow.
much Malcolm McDowell's whole modus operandi. Now he just shows up in the middle of movies.
That is true.
Anything
Yes,
else?
I still love him. I think he's great.
Anything else you guys want to bring up before we wrap here?
I
No.
just I would like to hear
Ugh.
from
Mark,
someone.
Mark, just shut up.
Listen. Fuck you guys.
And
I
another
just-
thing.
I would like to hear from someone who enjoyed this movie and why they enjoyed it. That's because I can't figure out how that's possible.
I'd like to hear from someone who paid for him to make it.
Yes, good call.
Let us know what's going on in your head.
I would also like any of our Juggalo listeners to let us know if you're out there.
Hello.
Also, weigh in on Rob Zombie. Really,
it
just
me
let us know how you're
or-
doing.
Honestly,
I
if you're a
can send you a
juggalo, if
pamphlet.
it makes you happy, go for it.
Yeah.
All right.
Husker do's, Husker don'ts.
Would you recommend this, Joe?
No.
Mark?
No.
John?
Mm-mm.
Casey?
Nope.
Also for me, no. That's the first in a long time
I
unanimous
know.
no's. Congratulations, Rob Zombie. All right, guys, let's do some fan mail.
10 years ago, Halloween, evil had a shape. Terror had a night. And now he's back.
6 bodies, Sheriff, that's what I've seen. And I tell you, Michael Myers is here in this town.
Halloween 4, the return of Michael Myers. He's come home to kill. Halloween 4, rated R.
Starts Friday, October 21st at theaters everywhere.
Hi, my name is Quinn Lord, and I am from Trick or Treat, and you are listening to Bloody Good Horror.
Send your emails to info@bloodygoodhorror.com or hit us up on Twitter at BGHorror with the hashtag AskBGH. And don't forget to pick up back episodes of the show at podcast.bloodygoodhorror.com.
And we're back. Back in the house, info@bloodygoodhorror.com. I literally just started saying that and realized I never pulled email.
Oh no.
Let's see what we got. First up, Caitlin. BGH Classic, episode 247, Snowtown Murders. Joe,
Uh-oh.
quote, "It's Australia. It's all boomerang and butt rape." Sorry, I don't have Twitter, but I spit a little coffee out at this, so I had to share.
Oh,
That's from Caitlin.
I like it. Thank you, Caitlin.
Wanted to let you guys know, I don't believe that I read this yet. How much I appreciate your pod. This is from Marta. Marta. I want to send you a note to let you know how much I've appreciated your podcast over the last couple of years and congratulate you on your successful year on Patreon. I travel long distances for work and it can be grueling. Your insightful reviews and witty banter have kept me from burning out. I can always rely on Eric's surliness, Sophie's shushing, and BGH classics to keep me company on my many 18-plus hour flights and jet-lagged evenings. From Nigeria, South Africa, India, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Tanzania, Rwanda, Ethiopia, and back again, the BGH sticker has also started traveling with me on my trips, and I can't wait for the long day. I can't wait for the day when I run into another BGH weirdo on the road. Keep up the wonderful work. And recommending awesome horror and making me laugh. Marta from Virginia. She also said, P.S. that Patreon picture was hilarious, but I wish I could unsee Eric's tiny baby head. Joe, do you want to explain that?
Oh, I forgot about that. So John, you sent out a Patron email, right?
Guys,
Well,
I go
it was
away for a
an
week and
update.
a half, and this is what happens.
It was a post. It's actually a public post, so anyone
Oh.
who's not a patron can actually see that. But it was an update on. We've been with Patreon for a year and some time now.
Oh.
So that was what the post was about. And I pinged Joe. I was actually in an airport, and I was like, Joe, I want to paste this, but I don't have an image. And I asked him to help me Photoshop one of the old BGH logos, like the dude hand coming out of the grave that I had found in Drive or something. And instead he sends me back that image. And I was like, all right, no, this is definitely better. This is better.
That's exactly what I didn't know I wanted.
Yeah, anyways, it made me laugh. She also sent a picture. She's got her BGH sticker on her metal water bottle that she carries around with her everywhere. So that's from
Nice.
Marta from Virginia. That's delightful. Thank you for that, Marta. She also says, travel-themed question, what's the most inappropriate horror movie you've ever watched on a plane or in a space where others can see your laptop screen? You know, the kind of movie where you really hope that the little kid sitting behind you can't see. I was in a public place on my laptop when I started to unknowingly watch a Serbian film for the show, and just kind of went, I think I need to take the train home.
Well, that ends that segment. I just watched The Lobster on a flight, which is there's some weird shit in that movie that I felt.
That's a subject of a Sophisticalled episode, Mark.
How about that? Yeah, I bet Andy loves that movie. I wasn't crazy about it, but
I actually really liked it too. I think we all were in relative agreement that it was.
I'm not sure of what I expected from it, I guess.
Yeah.
Came in real weird.
Coming in hot.
It's I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah,
Sorry,
for
I'm just
beep boop beep beep.
scanning my inbox here
Ba-da-ba.
quick.
I watched Grabbers in the lobby of an airport once, but that's not too crazy.
I watch most of the movies we watch on the train and have definitely run into. I can't think of one specifically, but there's
All of
definitely been times.
Sorry, just to go back to 31. Can you imagine
Jesus Christ,
What
Mark.
the hell, Mark? What's wrong
can
with
you imagine anyone walking in the room and just hearing the dialogue in that fucking movie?
Yeah, no, and that's what I point, and I think I pointed that out when we were doing. At some point, you got to be real with yourself and be like, if another adult with a job sees me, I don't know why that's important to me, but sees me watching this movie,
Yeah, what if they don't have a job?
Am I embarrassed? And yeah,
Yes,
my wife walks in and I'm watching this
100%.
movie, I'm totally embarrassed.
I was embarrassed watching it with headphones on.
Yeah, no, I agree. And cause whatever, man, I don't mind I don't mind out there outlandish, shocking stuff, but it's got to be done well. You know what I mean?
It's
So-
true.
I
I
know
usually
what
like my movies to be done well. It's my thing.
All right, next up, Alex. Just saw Blair Witch at Europe's biggest cinema. By happenstance, it was in 4D, which means moving seats, rain effects, and smoke, etc.
Where'd they get that extra D from?
Being jolted around with found footage and super tense scenes made me nearly shit my pants. Loved the movie and think it was enhanced by the 4D. Thoughts?
That's pretty cool. I would love to see it like that.
I think you're making that up, sir.
Oh.
But no, that sounds cool.
We even
You
have
just
that
suck
shit
Pep
in
in,
Indiana,
yo.
dude.
So can you guys give me a quick round of should I see it or not?
Oh, totally. Yeah.
Yeah, I
see
would
it.
say yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. okay.
Probably yes.
It's not amazing.
Wait,
I started
Rain?
listening to the episode and then realized that I don't want to listen to it because I'm sure that it was spoiled.
It's great for Halloween. One more from Caitlin. She says, anyone watched The Ice Cream Man recently? It's like the American version of the peanut butter solution with so much weird, wacky shit happening behind the main story. that's never addressed. Anyway,
the Clint Howard movie,
Yeah.
Ice Cream Man.
Yeah, is that what we're talking about? Because
it's
absolutely.
hilarious.
I've seen it before, but not recently.
It's hilarious. I feel like it needs a spooktacular. That's from Caitlin.
I would
That's a good idea.
I would totally fucking do that. I've actually never seen it. It was like must have been whatever distribution company at the time. I feel like I've seen the preview for Ice Cream Man about 200 times, but I've never actually seen the movie.
Info@bloodygoodhorror.com is the email address. I apologize if I missed emails. I literally rolled in from work and we started the show while I was eating my dinner. So sorry.
That's why Eric's dressed
While he
like
was
that.
snacking on yams.
So
What happened?
I'm reading something else.
Eating my baked bean.
This is great airplay for an audio show.
So
Eating Dinty more out of a can.
Joe, before we do tweets, I would like you to try to explain this picture of your 13-year-old self that's in our video right now.
Oh my god, I seriously have never. People say stuff like this a lot. I don't think I've ever seen a picture that has made me laugh so hard.
Bye.
It's the Jeffrey. It's the look on his face and the shirt, but it's also the Jeffrey Dahmer glasses.
We've had this on my coffee table for about a week now, and every time Leslie sees it, she laughs like a mental patient.
It's the reason that I'm glad that I work remote now because I've been cry laughing for like 3 days.
The thing that always gets her is that that picture was actually taken in 1991, but it looks like it's like 1974. So that was it wasn't a school photo. I think my parents actually had us go to Olin Mills and get portraits.
The shirt is something about your pose and your look on your face and your hair.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on.
It's definitely what would show up if you ever do anything really terrible at the
So,
police.
I see it and I show my wife and we're laughing, and then the next day or something I'm just hanging out flipping through my Facebook and somebody you work with or somebody you know photoshopped you into the Stranger Things poster, and it's perfect, and I lost it.
That thing is hanging in 4 different parts of my office right now.
So
I also just realized whoever did it added a little bit of nose blood to it. Which
I'm gonna briefly cover you guys up so I can blow the whole thing up in the video so people can see it.
My God,
can you ping that back to the chat because I missed it. I didn't save it on my desktop or anything.
My favorite part of it is when Joe posted it and he said, "Yeah, I definitely had somebody in a pit in my basement." And that way, because I've heard Joe say that about other people in person.
He has this knowing smoochy smirk on his face that is it's
he's
much.
about to record a singles video at a bar, but he's 13.
Honestly, I have no recollection of that look or period in my life. I feel like I've just blocked it out.
Well, I for one appreciate you just being so open and sharing it with everyone.
I can't believe you took it to work.
Oh no, it's somebody whoever I'm friends with a few people I work with on Facebook, so they picked it up and ran with it.
I gotcha.
So yeah, so that happened.
Joe, have you posted it to our Instagram yet?
I do not think so. No.
You should post the one that our good friend Mike Chiswick from NOTLP came up with.
Oh Lord.
I will say it was the best thing that happened to me all week. So thank you, Joe, for that.
It's so fucking funny. I just can't get over it.
Mark, let's try to bang through tweets here.
Why we gotta bang through them?
Because I'm tired.
We actually have a lot of tweets today.
Why can't we make love? All right, let's do BGH classics first.
Because I'm sleepy.
Yep. Let's see. His first one is from 40 Ounce Heroes. There's something beautiful about having a tangible piece of porn in your hands.
That's got to be Joe.
Yeah, it doesn't say who it was.
It's got to be Joe.
It's true though. I stand by that.
It says Joe.
I think he's right. There's an experience that today's kids will never know, and
That's episode 241, our Dark Skies episode.
That is finding a bunch of Playboys in somebody's closet and.
Oh. Or watching porn on a big screen TV. It's it doesn't get any better than that.
Sure.
Next one, also from 40 Ounce Heroes. We'll be introducing, this is from Eric. We'll be introducing Schnars to the concept of Japanese schoolgirl fart porn. episode 245, ABCs of Death. That makes sense.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, sure.
This one is from our very own Sophie, Philly's Femme. Just start with a classic sneeze fart. And
It's
apparently
like a classic, 379.
379. Yeah, that was probably like 2 weeks ago. But I'll take it. Last one for BGH Classics, and also for those of you that have no fucking idea what I'm talking about, if you are a member of our Patreon, you get access to all the back episodes, and we really love it when people tweet us funny things that we say with the hashtag BGH Classics.
I don't think, did we read all the way back? I think the ones from even the 21st and 22nd are new too.
Oh, I can read that too. Okay, sure. So this one's from That Baseball Joe. Joe's hatred for Paul Reiser is revealed.
Oh.
The poor man's Richard Lewis.
Yeah, I stand by that.
Which is actually kind of dead on if you think about what his routine was like.
Oh, absolutely. If I remember right, like Richard Lewis actually had some like real criticism of him, like because he was obviously like stealing.
I'll
his
take
shtick.
this time. I always like to plug like the one book I've ever read, or like the 5 books I've read. Richard Lewis has an autobiography called The Other Great Depression that is like a chronicle of all of his insane mental illness he's gone through, and it's fascinating. He wrote it like 20 years ago. It's really good.
Eric, the books that you have read
Really
never
random.
cease to fascinate
It's
me.
super
Like,
random. I read it in college. I don't know how I even ended up with it.
like freely admits having read like less than 50 books, but they're always the most strange fucking collection of books.
Then I finished The Great War, which is a 500-page book about World War I.
Blows my mind.
Sounds fun.
I read that on my iPhone too.
So that was episode 299, Life After Beth. Next one is from Burninator Ben, episode 98, Shrooms, Mark, about Eric. He's much more chipper this week, but a little more violent. Not sure what that's in reference.
Could have been any week, really.
Could have been one of my drinking weeks.
That's true. And then we skip ahead to Attorneys at Space. I gotta love that. So Space Lawyers Podcast, and the name is Attorneys at Space. From the studio that brought you Devil's Rejects comes the Care Bears.
I wish I could remember the context for that. That was me.
From our. Well, even weirder. It was from our. That was from our Nightbreed episode.
It was me who said that, right?
Yeah. I love that you can't remember the context, because if you can, who the hell can be expected to? You know. Okay.
It does become frightening when you start thinking about the volume of things that you said that now is just on the internet.
Oh yeah, none of us will ever be president.
It's best to not think about it too hard.
Joe, if Donald Trump can get this close to being president,
that's true. Yeah.
We got a chance.
I'm not worried about president. I inhaled.
I do cocaine.
All right, let's go through Ask BGH. If you have a question, send us a tweet with Ask BGH, and we will read it on the show sometimes. This one's from WSBB Productions. Just watched Lords of Salem. Sigh. Started strong. If you liked Zombie's music, do his movies have a negative I think he means effect on that?
No, I don't think
really.
so.
I missed the question.
That's okay. That's okay. I'm not gonna read it.
I got distracted. Sorry.
I saw Zombie. I've seen Rob Zombie in concert twice. The first time, it was a perfect setting, and he had all his pyrotechnics and shit going, and it was way better than most of his movies. It was pretty. I wasn't even a big Zombie fan, music-wise. I got really into it seeing him live because there's shit blowing up on stage. There's dudes with guitars with fake blood pouring it over their heads and shit. It's awesome. Second time I saw him, there was a rainstorm going on, and they were having equipment troubles, and he was just pissy. So
burn through the woods.
Supposedly, like I've read interviews with him where he hates touring, like he doesn't actually like doing it. So I'm always surprised that he puts on like such a big theatrical. Like...
I don't know. He sounds like a really fun guy.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like
All
I
right,
would
Mark,
hate it too.
next.
Like I don't like doing things.
He just sounds cranky.
Yeah,
and
he
we didn't
does.
even talk about all this John Carpenter bullshit, but we don't need to talk about it.
There's some questions.
John
about it.
John Carpenter sick burned Rob Zombie on the internet this week, and that was
Sort of. He kind of just like old man was like, "Fuck
I'm
you."
not gonna lie, that was my second favorite moment of the week after Joe's picture.
Next one's from Stouto114.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he asked for a 13, but they drew a 31?
Oh, I get it.
That's a good question.
Hashtag pretty fly. Hashtag Team Joe.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That hashtag.
Haven't had a lot of Team Schnars lately.
Oh, come on.
Except for
I
me.
know that's
No one's
because
counting.
no one knows how to spell his last name.
Except for me,
That's fair.
Schnars, and the secret
I'm
is
just-
that my vote counts more than anyone's.
I'm hashtag Deuce Bigelow brings people together.
There you go.
Sure.
That's true.
Don't
Team-
worry for you hashtag Team Casey people. I'm used to being chosen.
I think
last.
we can all agree, Team Deuce.
Team Deuce.
Deuce B.
All right, next one, franchise MPLS. Did you guys see that Rings got pushed to February? Very
did.
bad sign? Question mark.
Yes.
Oh, did
I
it?
did see
So
that.
I did not see that, and I was just looking at the release schedule.
I also think
but,
it's afraid of Ouija.
it's
for some
not a
reason.
good sign.
Yeah,
Oh, jeez.
I forgot about that. I meant to bring that up.
All of them? All the rings?
I feel like back in the day, you would have a release like every weekend between September and October, and then almost since like Saw and Paranormal Activity, since you have these, I don't know, it seems like companies are more afraid now of getting lost in the glut, and so if they freak out, that's always what they do. They'll just push to January, February, or like
I
November.
mean, why would you want to go up against Medea?
There you go. No, I mean last year there was a ton of releases. I feel like
Heller.
so it's more this year. It's just a little I don't know. It's a little
Hellerween.
wonky.
All right, next one is from Rowlsy11. Rollsy? I don't know.
All
Where
right.
do you
Rosie.
Yeah.
come on? Where do you think Richard Briggs' performance as Doomhead ranks in this year's horror performances so far?
Yeah, it's above Sherry Moon Zombies.
I
Yeah.
thought he managed to be relatively menacing for a dirty.
He was probably the best part of 31. I don't know that that puts him in the rank of everybody else this year.
I agree with Casey.
I can't
yeah,
can't
but I was
focus because I'm just looking at this picture of Joe. I can't focus. It's so good.
I have to force myself to stop thinking about it
Stop looking at it.
so that I can go on
It's
with my life.
it's mesmerizing.
All right, next one's from Nerds of Gore. Do you guys think Rob Zombie just tries too hard with his movies?
Yes.
Yeah. Probably a good way of
He's
looking
either
at it.
trying too hard
Or
or
not
not
enough.
hard enough.
Yeah.
It's really
I
hard.
kind of lean like he might be trying not hard enough.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
I think he thinks he's much more original and clever than he is, and that leads him to not trying hard enough to do that.
That's a fair point because he's leaning way too hard on
I,
tropes.
I think he thinks he's like this genius auteur because he puts blood on clowns.
Well, and it's I sorry to dig back into this, but it's like it's
We all
You
knew
know,
you would,
he's-
Mark.
he's trying to make grindhouse movies in 2016, and like people's sensibilities have changed.
Just
I don't know.
just let it go, Mark.
I fucking can't. I for some reason was not this upset about it. And
I
the
don't
more
know.
I talk about it, the more upset it makes me.
But the point I would make to that, Mark, is like there is a good version of this movie, like
Oh,
to
yeah,
be
for
made.
sure.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Blade
Like
Runner.
there's
Yeah,
no
that's true.
reason if I stopped you on the street and was like, "Yo, would you watch a movie about clowns like kind of Running Man killing each other?" You'd be like, "Yeah, I'm in for
That's
that."
true.
The
On paper,
Purge.
it sounds awesome.
Yeah, there were at least 5 other movies he copied that are better than this. Yes.
No doubt. All right. Next one, also from Nerds of Gore. Thoughts on the Flash in the Pan feud between John Carpenter and Rob Zombie?
Since I'm not a huge Rob Zombie fan, and I am a big fan of like surly old John Carpenter, I kind of like that he just went on record this week and was like, "Yeah, fuck that guy."
But so here's my thing about this though. It was kind of the worst. It was the sort of worst tendencies of like clickbait culture because if you
yeah.
watch the video, someone asks him a question about their relationship or like if he signed off on Halloween or if he was like cold to who or whatever. And it was just this person asking him the question that said what Rob Zombie said.
Yeah.
Like it was very clearly hearsay. And he said if he did say that, he's a piece of shit. So and that immediately turned into John Carpenter
It's just
calls
like-
Rob Zombie a piece of shit. And it's like not even
It's
that's
so-
like not even what happened.
But even so, it's just such a good, genuine reaction. We're like, "Well, then he's a fucking."
Well,
douche.
when you're 90 fucking years old, everything is either like every person is either amazing or they're a piece of shit. Like he doesn't have time for the
So
gray
anyway,
area
then
between-
like within 2 days, like somebody else got a hold of him, and he's like, "Dude, we squashed that. Like, it was
Yeah.
nothing." So it was fine.
When I first watched the video when that thing hit, it didn't really strike me as any kind of feud. He's just like, "Oh, he said that. Fuck that guy."
Listen,
I think it was just
no
the words
one-
piece of shit that got
Listen.
people like really like, yeah, I'm gonna write about this.
No-
This is amazing. They're feuding.
no website is more desperate for a clickbait bullshit headline than a horror movie website. It's the ones that cover daily news are
Guilty.
just scraping the bottom of the barrel, man. They're like, check out the list of DVD features that just got announced on this DVD. Like, who fucking cares, man? Seriously.
Full
Like,
disclosure, we've tried doing all of those.
we
things
have, and we stopped,
Yeah.
and we stopped doing it because it
We
sucks.
gave up on it years
It
ago.
sucks. So like, those sites are always looking to gin up. So then what happens is somebody, whoever does the video, does the article, and then 50 other sites crib the article and just, block quote it, and then it's like blown up.
Well, and I think people are very quick to hop on to the significance of it because so many people feel like they hate the Halloween remake, which is fine. And I think maybe John Carpenter, maybe calling Rob Zombie a piece of shit like validates their feelings, but who needs their feelings validated in that way?
It's
Like
just-
if you don't like the movie, you don't like the movie. That's fine.
I think usually too that the guys who make horror are usually pretty cordial with each other. So I think they're doing the dinner, the Masters of Horror dinners or whatever. So I think like
That sounds so
the idea that an elder statesman said "F you" to a younger guy, just got people's panties in a bunch. It's awesome.
I mean and this whole thing would be more relevant, right? Like if it happened 8 years ago when
there's
the fucking
no one
movie
in this.
came out.
There's no one in this story that's relevant, including
Right.
us.
Well, actually, John Carpenter's been doing like tours and doing music shit, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, he's doing his thing. It's cool. It was fine. It was just a dumb little.
He's arguably more relevant than Rob Zombie is. Right
The
now.
headline is, you know what happened this week, Mark? The internet.
Yeah,
That's what happened.
it's so funny though. I recommend you watch the video because John Carpenter comes off as such a hilariously cranky dude. It's just awesome. He's like, well, he's a piece of shit. Like it's just.
Well, you're talking about the guy who like has made arguably one of the most popular cult horror films of like this generation, which is The Thing, who still it's like the most devastating thing when he talks about it. He's like he hates that movie because people hated it so much. He's just upset about it. And I've seen people in interviews be like, but like it found this audience. It's like really huge and people love it. Like, doesn't it? And he's just like, so literally I've seen him say like, so like it was a bomb and people hated it. And I got savaged by like Roger Ebert. You know what I mean? He just never let it go.
To share a cup of coffee and a biscotti with old cranky ass John Carpenter.
You know.
Okay, next
Listen,
one.
man, listen, Carpenter made Halloween. He can do whatever the fuck he wants to.
Sure. I mean, I'm all for cranky rants.
He was married to Adrienne Barbeau.
Adrian Barbobot.
Right.
Sick reference, Joe.
Next one's from Fiendcast 138. Thoughts on the two Misfits reunion shows at Riot Fest Denver and Chicago. Dreams do come true.
I feel like Mark is the only one of us qualified to comment on this. Since he
I
used to be
think
in a
Joe's
band.
probably qualified to comment on it.
Oh, for sure. I had a Mitzvahs bumper sticker in my day.
Misfits?
Misfits.
Misfits.
I don't know about you, Mark, but I was actually legitimately thinking about going, but then I realized crowds.
But then you realize that you would have to go to Riot Fest.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's cool. It's more.
Did you
of,
listen
like,
to them much, Mark? Like, were you a fan?
of the Misfits? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
I was definitely one of those people in high school, like, that was like, yeah, the new Misfits are bullshit, even though like all of the original Misfits stuff came out decades before I
Yeah.
was in high school. But I think that's cool if they want to do that.
Yeah, I just hope, and I've seen articles about this. I really don't want them to make new music. Like, it's gonna be garbage. If
I
they
do
do.
enjoy pictures of Danzig himself carrying kitty litter.
I mean,
I like those
I mean,
pictures.
here's the thing, right? Like, and I totally agree with you, Joe, and it's actually somewhat relevant to like what we've been talking about with movie stuff. It's like, sometimes these directors that make these movies, like, they're done, right? Like, they're just not like they've already done their best stuff, and we can appreciate it. And I kind of feel the same way about the Misfits. It's like,
Yeah,
I
it's
would
been
totally
like
see Danzig like perform those original songs with
Yeah.
them, but like, I definitely there's no new ground to tread.
no.
It's nothing.
Nobody goes to see the Rolling Stones. They hear the new stuff.
I just would go to a Rolling Stones concert to see if Keith Richards would survive. Honestly,
I've seen him twice, and they lived for both.
I just like one of these days he's just gonna turn into dust. I think he's just gonna.
I mean, while like humping the air, maybe yes, but
Yeah. While humping the air.
it's the way to go.
How many
next
more we got?
one.
Let's go.
What's that? Eric, did you say something?
He's getting cranky.
Wrap it up.
Push on.
Wrap it up, dude. I mean, this is the fucking show. This is how this works.
Anything else about 31 you want to talk about, Mark?
Whatever.
Eric, some of the podcasters still don't have children, so
I am.
Just one.
Let me
Excellent.
tell you about sleep.
Poor Mark's been locked in that room for 2 weeks. He's
Yeah.
going to talk to people.
Let me tell you about sleep deprivation.
Yeah.
Okay, come on. You going off on this tangent's keeping me from reading the tweets. This next one's from It Burns with 3 S's.
Oh.
What do you believe to be the most polarizing film that the group ever reviewed? Shriek of the Mutilated.
I mean, it's hard to say because like there are movies that we argue about at the time that now we like we totally are fine on. We get why we were arguing, and even like some of us have like flipped positions on movies over the years. I think my dislike of Trick or Treat really rankled people.
I think I was on the more dislike side, or at least I think I was. I don't
I
remember.
love that movie. So
Yeah, me. That's like a seasonal watch.
I don't know, like like we talked about this in the show in the past, but the best innovation on this we ever did was to start a lengthy pre-show email thread because it allows us to just get our verbal vomit out in all of our like thoughts straight off the top and just spew it into an email. And we send like sometimes in a contentious movie, we will send 50 emails pre-show over the course.
We've definitely broken 100 multiple times.
Yeah.
Over the course of like a week or whatever before we do the show, and then it's like that allows us to get our like hot takes out there. And then we work on them a little, and like we kind of try to come to an understanding with each other, so that when we come to the show and get it out, you know, I'm not saying something shocking to Schnars for the first time, who then rolls his eyes at me and gets angry. And like, I mean,
well,
if you go,
it
still happens occasionally.
If you go in the Wayback Machine, there are certainly times when, if you're aware of it, you can hear that happening.
Well, and the one thing that's really important too is like we've definitely gotten into the habit after all these years of like wrapping our heads around why we don't like a particular movie, and it sort of saves us from just like being emotional and yelling at each other about shit, because we try to at least explain why we liked or didn't like it.
Right.
This shit's been going on for 10 years. We've evolved.
Which sometimes if you don't talk about it beforehand, you're only getting to that raw emotion part of it, which is like not very insightful, but also is just what leads to arguments.
Yeah. All right, all right. This is from Trapper John 1210. What film needs to be remade in your opinion, any genre?
Huge list. I'm gonna go with Westworld because I just wanted to talk about how I have a nerd boner for that show that's coming.
It looks cool.
Yes.
Oh yeah, it does look
looks
great.
Hella cool, yeah.
I mean, have you guys seen the movie ever?
Yes,
yeah, absolutely.
Unfortunately,
in Future World.
Unfortunately, I won't be able to see it until Game of Thrones comes back and I renew my HBO Now subscription.
Fair. Yeah, it's sweet. I'm really excited.
I just saw
my list.
I think news like last week about Toxic Avenger actually being remade. I feel like that's a movie that could definitely use a I don't know if subtle's the right word to use, but a more
Weren't
kind of
with the right writing.
Weren't they
staff,
legit
yeah.
remaking that movie?
Yeah,
I thought he sold the remake rights to somebody.
he did for a lot of money.
Yeah, I think they're starting it. That was the thing that I read. But I think like a James Gunn sensibility applied to a modern Toxic Avenger, I think would be really cool.
Yeah, I am a little tired of the trend of turning movies into TV shows, though.
Yeah,
It was cute the first couple times, but it's.
I think they just announced one that was for The Purge, and I said the only way it would work was if it was the same format as 24.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's like a perfect example of one that can work though, because like you're
gotta
talking
be-
about a universe they've created,
But it's
and,
got to
like,
be
you
in
can-
real time though, right? You can't just do another Purge.
Yeah, I
every
mean you
episode.
could.
But they made Wolf Creek into a TV show. I just read before we started recording they were doing
Well, that's dumb.
What We Do in the Shadows is taking.
I have seen the
no,
What We Do in the Showers movie.
That one's gonna be on Cinemax.
Sounds hot.
That was the best slip ever.
What we do in the showers. Peter's not coming to the shower.
Oh my god. Okay, next one.
Biscotti.
Also, Trapper John 1210 having a Twitter argument. Oh boy, how much time should pass before a film is considered a classic?
I think the internet broke that whole idea, honestly. But like a couple years.
Couple days.
I mean,
I
it's
think
the same
5
thing
years.
as being selling out or being overrated. Like if that's gonna stop you from watching a movie.
So here's an example. Like I think of something like we did, like The Descent. That movie's like 10 years old.
It's older than that.
Or older,
isn't it?
yeah. So like that's a classic, but that's something
Yeah,
we reviewed like almost over the course of the site.
But that's like 17 years old. So I was actually thinking about that. I'm like, I'm gonna give a straight answer. I think 15 years minimum.
I think 5
because
to 10.
I think you can have a movie that is iconic, like a year or even like 2 years, but like to really say something's like, oh, that's a classic. Like that's
The Strangers.
I always
2009.
I don't know.
2009.
I would put that in.
Classic.
What about like? Do you think with a Cabin in the Woods? Like, will that eventually be?
That will I will eventually call that classic.
I call that right now classic.
Yeah.
All right, well, you're wrong. So that's
There's a thing called an instant classic, John. I've seen it on posters.
It's usually attributed to Bloody Disgusting, but
Yeah, Brad Misty told me about instant classics.
yep.
All right, speed round.
It's
Speed round.
It's gonna change the
round,
face
speed
of
round.
horror.
Blah blah blah. This one's from an Eldritch Place. What would you ask Rob Zombie? Personally, I'd cast his wife in my next film. Just kidding.
Rob Zombie's really weird to me. Like I said, like I'm not a big fan of his movies, but I always find him super interesting to like listen to
I
and
would
to
ask
like read
him-
interviews with him.
I would
I
ask
think
him
he'd be
if
fun to like drink a beer with and hang out and just talk about.
He'd probably drink like absinthe or something obnoxious.
I
He'd drink
wanna know-
PBR.
I want to
Midori
know what
sour.
the socio-political point he's trying to make is,
I just wanna
because I
know-
feel like he has to be trying to make
You
something.
know what would be the craziest surprise of all? If he talks like characters in his movies, and maybe that's why. Like if he just talks
He's just
like
like,
that.
what's up?
Like
Yeah.
calls you a see you next Tuesday within
Yeah.
like 2 minutes.
Yeah, like you ask him what he thinks of global warming, and it's just some like disgusting, drawn out sex joke that takes like 10 minutes to tell with a full song playing in the background.
I just want to know if he's happy.
I don't think he is.
That's all I want to
I
know.
do. I think
don't-
he's probably a
I don't
happy
think
guy.
he is either. He doesn't seem very happy.
Agree to disagree.
I don't know. I'm
know.
laughing at an upcoming SBGH, which is
Yeah, I know. I
so-
think I'm laughing at the same one. Next one is from A Howard 0614. Did you guys discuss the most disturbing horror movie you've ever seen? I heard Selo, S-E-L-O, is the worst. I've never heard of that.
I think we discussed this last week, didn't we?
Yeah, we either discussed it
we've
like
got this
this year,
question
like,
before.
very
Selo,
recently.
We've had it in the very recent history. You might call that episode a classic.
Yeah. Honestly, by the BGH classic, it just has to be a month old,
Yeah.
I think, before it becomes a classic.
Telling you, Medea Halloween, classic.
Instant classic.
Boo. Boo.
All right, next one is from Lycanthropology. What are y'all gonna be for Halloween? And the babies?
I'm having this. I want the baby to be something spooky, but I'm not sure that's gonna happen.
My son is going to be Bob the Builder,
Nice.
and
Oh.
we have not decided on the rest of the family.
Eric, can I suggest that because Lily is not totally mobile yet, that you guys do a basket case Halloween costume?
Oh my god,
Where
That would be-
she's my growth.
that would be so incredible.
I got ideas. I'm just saying.
Or I just carry her around in a basket.
Yeah,
That's
I
it.
would like to
That
introduce
seems
you to
sad.
That's
now.
it. That's the whole costume.
my brother Belial.
Belial.
Oh, Christ.
Wow. You know, in the third movie of that series, he has a mech suit.
I think I did.
I
know
think that comes up every time we talk
Is that
about
when he turns into
Sure, you
Krang
mention that
from
every
the,
time.
Ninja Turtles?
It's worth mentioning every time.
So, Joe, Mia is almost 5, right?
Oh yeah.
Does
She,
does she decide what she's going to be for Halloween, or do you guys still decide?
Oh yeah, no, the past 3 years she's decided. She wants to be Ellen Chanta or something from one of the Disney princesses.
I thought you were going to say
Ellen DeGeneres.
She wants to be Ellen DeGeneres.
Oh my god, that would be great. She could do
Don't
the
we all?
dance.
Ellen seems like a very happy person.
She could do the
My
dance.
proudest moment was 2 years ago. She wanted to be a robot princess.
That's
so
awesome.
we built the whole costume. Like there's no topping that. And every year she says what she wants to be, and I just look at her and I'm like, that's not as good as robot princess. Just so
I was rather proud this year because Delaney, who's 16, is going to be Chainsaw from Summer School.
Is she also prepared to explain that to everyone she meets?
Yeah, but it works for her, her mother and I. So
There you go. Next one, Robale. Is constant shaky cam we see in Blair Witch and 31 a way to cover up a lack of budget or just a trend?
I mean, well, Blair Witch has found footage, so that's why that's shaky cam. I think in 31, he's just trying to go raw dog.
I didn't see a lot. I didn't feel like I noticed a lot of shaky cam in it.
You know,
I mean, there's definitely some.
There's a lot of shots that would normally be locked down that weren't all over the place, but were just kind of like, you could tell they were handheld, like they were
Yeah.
floaty.
I mean, it like historically, like in film history, it came about as like a more natural
Yeah, sure.
look and feel, in like I guess it was kind of like the early 70s.
70s, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, John, just answer the question. We don't need a history lesson.
Yeah. Long story short, I think it's both. Like it comes in and out as a trend, and I do think it's like
It
a
can
very
help.
easy way to cover up a lack of budget.
It's like a distraction technique.
Yeah, basically.
Look over here. All right, this is one of the best would you rathers I think I've ever read on the podcast. Also from Robale. Would you rather watch another Rob Zombie movie or put one of
Did
Put
not.
one of Rob Zombie's dreadlocks in your mouth for 1 minute.
Oh my god, watch the movie. Are you kidding me? It's disgusting.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put my own hair in my mouth for 1 minute.
Such a good question.
That's upsetting.
What about the killer from My Soul to Take? What about one of his dreadlocks?
Oh my god. It's amazing. All right, we have one more. I'll read it because Mark's not going to pull himself together. This comes from Fat Duck. Any of you seen the Exorcist TV show? What do you think?
No.
I'm a fan so far.
I have not.
I have not. It's sitting on my DVR, but I know that
yeah.
I think most of the folks that went to Horror Hound saw the first episode and liked it a lot.
I think Andy talked about it last week. If you haven't heard that episode, and he enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool beans.
All right, let's wrap this up here. Anything else on 31, Mark?
Yes, you see us a review at bloodygoodhorror.com. You should read it. It's a great companion piece to their podcast.
John.
Yes, Eric.
How would someone get back episodes from which to comb these beautiful BGH classics?
They should become a patron of Bloody Good Horror at patreon.com /Bloody Good Horror, or go to bloodygoodhorror.com, read CC's 31 review, then click through to Patreon.
Other neat things you can do. You can see a live streaming video of the show as we record. You could be seeing these luscious Joe pictures right now. You get access to every back episode at a certain level. You get some swag. It's fun times. Any help, support the show.
Yes, it is much appreciated. We promise.
Yeah,
and cool things coming soon.
And like, you know, through the Patreon, we've been able to like up our game on a lot of stuff because we've actually been able to like do stuff. So it's been awesome. It's been a great year for BGH in general.
No doubt.
No dizzy.
And this Joe picture, I think, has really just put us over the top.
Oh my god.
We finally made it.
If I'm being honest.
I kind of want to like turn it into an illustration and put it on a t-shirt.
What's up next? This is next week.
We have not decided.
Okay.
Oh, well, Yoga Hosers most likely. But...
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Is that horror? Like, do we? I know we should have talked about this.
It is.
Okay.
Damn you, Casey. Okay. Next week, Yoga Hosers. I can't wait. Rob Zombie and Kevin Smith 2 weeks in a row. I feel like it's not the first time we've done that either.
Probably not.
We should do it every year. It's a treat.
All right, guys. It's going to do it for Bloody Good Horror. Halloween time. Hope you're enjoying spookiness. We'll see you soon.
Adios.
See you.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye.